I'm Robert Meadows, and welcome to the world of high-performance radio-controlled models from Traxxas. All of us at Traxxas would like to thank you for purchasing an exciting Traxxas Nitro product. Now, this DVD will help you get your RC model set up and running quickly. It'll also show you how to best take care of your product and get the best performance out of it down the road. Your Traxxas model comes with a set of operating instructions that outline in complete detail the setup, operation, and maintenance requirements of your specific model. This DVD is designed to complement the operating instructions. It is not a substitute for them. It's very important that you thoroughly read all the instructions in addition to watching this DVD. Now, the brief video segments coming up will help you understand all the details in your instruction manual. And we'll be using a T-Max for most of this video, but the requirements and procedures are generally the same for other models such as the Nitro Rustler and the Nitro Fortec. I'll point out anything specific you need to know about those other models. Now, a word to you RC veterans out there. The new TRX 2.5 engine has its own set of fuel requirements and break-in procedures that are different from what you may be used to. The TRX 2.5 break-in procedure was developed by the engineering team and proven to produce the engines with the highest power output and longest life. If you have any questions about your model that aren't covered in this DVD or your operating instructions, then call the Traxxas Technical Support Line, toll-free at 1-888-TRAXXAS. Traxxas representatives are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. Assistance is also available on our website at www.traxxas.com or email customer support at support@traxxas.com. Now let's head over to the workshop and get started. In this first segment, we'll be taking a look at some basic tools and supplies that you'll be needing for your Traxxas model. Let's get together a checklist of some items that you'll need that were not included in your package. You may have already purchased these items from your hobby dealer. You'll need 12 AA batteries for your radio pack. Now, these batteries can be alkaline or rechargeable. Just make sure they're new or fully charged. A 7.2 volt NiCad battery pack for the Easy Start electric starting system. A charger for the 7.2 volt battery pack. Hobby quality CA glue for the tires, thin works best, a pair of safety glasses, a fuel dispenser bottle such as the Traxxas fuel bottle, and of course Traxxas top fuel for the engine. You'll also need some basic hand tools including a model engine tuning screwdriver, a Phillips No. 2 screwdriver, and a hobby knife such as this one. Let's take a minute to talk about your 7.2 volt battery pack and charger. Now, the battery pack must be completely charged in order for the Easy Start electric starting system to work. Now, there are two types of chargers available, the time chargers and the peak detecting chargers. Now, we like the peak detecting charger because it monitors the battery and automatically shuts off when the battery is fully charged. You get a perfect charge every time. If you're using a timed charger, make sure the battery pack is slightly warm to the touch at the end of the charge cycle. If it's not, you may need a few extra minutes of charge time to get the battery fully charged. Now, since it takes 15 to 20 minutes for a battery pack to charge, I'll go ahead and set it to charge right now. By the time we're finished setting up everything else will be ready to use. Now, you might want to pause the program right now to begin charging your own battery pack. That way there won't be any delay when you're ready to start your engine. This next topic is very important, fuel. Now, for the best performance and longest engine life, it is very important that you only use the highest quality fuel in your TRX 2.5 engine. Now, Traxxas Top Fuel ensures correct lubrication, performance, and tuning ease. Top Fuel has been proven in many thousands of engines worldwide and is the only fuel which is 100% warranty certified for Traxxas engines. Now, the engineering team at Traxxas started with a clean sheet of paper and spent over 2 years developing the incredible TRX 2.5 engine. No one knows more about specific fuel requirements of Traxxas engines than Traxxas engineers. Now, we strongly urge that you not take chances with your engine investment. Use top fuel, the only fuel that's specifically blended for the TRX 2.5. There are other brands that can give you a satisfactory performance. However, you don't get the peace of mind Traxxas gives you through consistent blending of the highest quality ingredients. Using other brands may decrease engine performance, make your engine harder to tune, shorten engine life, or may even cause you to lose warranty coverage. Whenever you purchase fuel, you'll be asked what percentage of nitro you want. For most applications, 10 or 20% nitro is just fine. Either will give you plenty of performance and ease of tuning. The most important thing about picking your nitro percentage is to choose one and stick with it. There's no need to use a lower percentage of nitro to break your engine in and then switch to a higher percentage. If you break your engine in on 20% fuel, then run on 20% fuel. You'll have a faster engine to show for it. Remember, there are certain risks and hazards associated with using model engine fuel. Read the can label very carefully and follow all safety precautions. Got your supplies together, your battery's charging. Now let's get your model ready to drive. Now the first thing we're going to do is glue the tires. The tires must be glued to the rims to keep the rims from spinning inside the tires. Use your instant CA glue to glue the tires, and always wear safety glasses when working with glue. To get started, turn the model up on its side. First we'll glue the inside rims. This will give you some practice where the glue doesn't show. Use your thumb to push the side of the tire away from the rim. Place 1 or 2 drops of glue into the opening and release the tire. Capillary action will draw the glue around the bead of the tire. Now do this at 4 or 5 points around the rim until the tire is completely glued. Then repeat the procedure for the other tires. Now let's do the outside of each tire. The process is the same. The Nitro Fortec rims are glued in the same manner. Continue the same process with Revo tire gluing. The tires on your Revo are glued to the rims at the factory. We'll show you how to glue the tires on the rim so you can assemble a new set when the factory tires wear out. If you get any glue on your fingers, use a bit of fingernail polish remover. It should help dissolve it. Next, we're going to set up your receiver antenna. Now in your operating instructions packet, you'll find a thin tube like this and a small vinyl cap like this. The radio receiver in this model has a thin black antenna wire that exits the case. On the T-Max, the wire comes out of the receiver box on the chassis. On Revo, the wire exits the rear of the receiver box shown here. On other Nitro models, the receiver is in a protective balloon with the antenna wire coming out of the end of the balloon. Pull the wire straight with your fingers, then insert the end of the wire into the end of the antenna tube. Insert the base of the antenna tube into the molded post on the top of the receiver cover. On Revo, insert the antenna tube in the back corner of the receiver box. On other Traxxas Nitro models, the antenna post is on the chassis. Fold the remaining antenna wire over the top of the tube and secure it with the antenna tip. Don't shorten the length of the antenna wire. The length of the wire is tuned to the frequency band, and cutting it could severely shorten the radio system's range. Now let's put batteries in the radio system. We'll start with the transmitter. Remove the battery compartment door by pressing the tab and lifting the door up. Install the batteries, making careful note of the polarity. Reinstall the battery door and snap it close. Turn on the transmitter and check the power indicator for a solid red light. If the power indicator light flashes, then the transmitter batteries are weak or discharged. Replace them with new freshly charged batteries. The holder for the receiver batteries is located underneath the battery cover. The battery cover on the T-Max can be identified by the on-off switch. Remove the battery cover by removing the two 3x10mm round head self-tapping screws from the cover. On the Nitro Rustler, the receiver batteries are located under the cover on the rear bumper. The cover is held on with two body clips. On the Nitro Fortec, the batteries are located on the chassis. behind the front right tire. Loosen the strap to release the battery holder. Now remove the battery holder and install 4 AA alkaline batteries into the holder. Use the diagrams molded into the battery holder to make sure the polarity is correct. Always use new or freshly charged batteries in the radio system. Place the battery holder back in the cover. Direct the wires through the slot so that the battery cover won't pinch them. Now reinstall the battery cover. Finally, secure the battery cover with the screws. Revo is equipped with an integrated 5-cell rechargeable battery pack to power the radio system. The RX power pack must be fully charged before running the truck. Use the included RX power charger to charge the battery pack. The RX power charger is a peak detecting AC-DC charger. An AC power supply is included with Revo. A DC charge cord for field use is sold separately. Plug the end of the AC power supply into the back of the charger. Plug the AC power supply into any 110-volt wall outlet. With no battery connected, the green light on the face of the charger will light. Revo's charge jack is located under the chassis. Remove the rubber plug that protects the jack, then plug the charge cord into the charging jack. The light on the charger will begin to flash, indicating that fast charging is in progress. The charger will shut off automatically, and the light will glow solid green when the receiver battery is fully charged and ready for use. It usually takes about an hour to fully charge the battery pack. Unplug the charging cord and replace the protective rubber plug. When the charger is not in use, wind the charging cord around the cord holder. To secure the cord, insert the end into the retaining slot at either end of the cord holder. Never leave your batteries charging unattended. Please read your operating instructions for additional precautions, procedures, and care for your battery and charging system. Now let's get familiar with your Traxxas radio system. Before you ever turn on your radio system, you must clear your frequency by making sure that no one else in the area is using the same channel as you. There are 6 possible channels, each numbered 1 through 6, and they are represented by 6 different colors. Look at the crystal plugged into the back of your transmitter to determine which of the channels your truck is operating on. There's a chart in your operating instructions that tells you which color is associated with each channel number. Our crystal is blue, so we're using channel 6. One very important rule to remember is to always turn the transmitter on before you turn on the receiver switch in the model. Then always turn the receiver switch off before you turn off the transmitter. This procedure will prevent the model from receiving a stray signal and running out of control. Remember, the transmitter is always on first and off last. Also, never turn off the radio system while the engine's still running. Fully extend the chrome antenna mast on the transmitter and turn the switch on. The red indicator light on the transmitter should be solid red and not flashing. Turn on the receiver switch in the model. The switch on our T-Max is located on the battery cover. On the Nitro Rustler, the switch is mounted on the rear shock tower. On the Nitro Fortec, the receiver switch is located on the chassis. On your Revo model, the switch is located on the top of the receiver cover. Position the model so that the front wheels are off the ground. Turn the steering wheel on the transmitter back and forth and check for rapid operation of the steering servo. If the steering operates slowly, check for weak receiver batteries. When looking down at the model, the front wheels should point straight ahead. If the wheels are turned slightly to the left or to the right, slowly adjust the steering trim control on the transmitter until the wheels point straight ahead. Operate the throttle trigger on the transmitter and check for rapid operation of the throttle servo. When the throttle trigger is pulled back, the carburetor should open. When the throttle trigger is pushed away or forward, the brake should lock. Our T-Max uses the TQ3 transmitter with the grip shifter. Operate the shift button on the transmitter. Check for rapid operation of the shifting servo. Push the shift button down for forward. The servo will push the transmission shift rod into the transmission. Push the shift button up for reverse, and the servo will pull the shift rod out of the transmission. Before each running session, it's a good idea to range test the radio system. Have a friend hold the model with the engine off. Make sure the antennas on both the model and the transmitter are fully extended. Operate the transmitter controls to make sure the radio system is working correctly. Walk away from the model with the transmitter until you reach the farthest distance you plan to operate the model. Operate the controls on the transmitter once again to verify the model responds correctly. Never operate the model if you observe any problem with the radio system. Your Revo transmission is equipped with the OptiDrive electronic shift module. The OptiDrive electronically controls forward and reverse shifting on your Revo. It does not allow the truck to shift between forward and reverse until the unit is completely stopped. During normal operation, the green function LED is lit showing the unit is powered. When in motion, the sensor LED will flash a blue light that is timed to the RPM of the transmission. The blue light glows solid while the truck is stopped. The OptiDrive also monitors the charge level of the onboard receiver pack. If your OptiDrive's function LED is red, stop running your truck immediately and charge your Revo RX power pack. Once everything checks out, turn off the receiver, followed by the transmitter. When putting the transmitter antenna down, don't push it down from the top. Put it down one segment at a time to prevent binding and kinking the antenna mast. The TRX 2.5 engine is the result of over 2 years of focused engineering and thousands of hours of testing. It is vastly superior to typical engines, and it belongs in a category of specialty high-performance engines. The TRX 2.5 takes a total system approach. Each part of the engine, from the air filter to the exhaust tip, has been carefully engineered to work together with other engine components to achieve maximum engine output. We strongly discourage attempting to change or modify any part of the engine in order to gain more power. Old tech tips and tricks that may have worked in other brands of engines could seriously diminish the performance of this engine. The TRX 2.5 is already the most powerful engine in its class and simply will not benefit from low-tech aftermarket bolt-on performance parts. Next, let's talk about engine break-in. The TRX 2.5 uses ringless aluminum brass and chrome piston and sleeve construction. This type of engine design relies on the running fit of the piston inside the sleeve for cylinder sealing. Engine break-in is necessary to allow the piston and the sleeve to develop an extremely precise fit and achieve optimum cylinder sealing. The most important thing you can do to make sure your TRX 2.5 engine generates as much power as possible is to break it in properly. If you don't break in your engine, you could end up with a weak, damaged, or otherwise poorly performing engine. The Traxxas break-in procedure used here has been extensively tested and proven to yield better performing engines than other common break-in methods. Make sure you read and understand the break-in procedure outlined in your operating instructions before you start your engine the first time. You don't need to use special break-in fuels. Traxxas top fuel should be used to ensure correct engine lubrication, highest performance, and ease of tuning. For most applications, use fuel with 10% or 20% nitro. Use the same percentage all the time. If you break in the engine on 20% fuel, then run 20% fuel every day. Do not switch back and forth between 10% and 20% fuel. To get fuel in your model's fuel tank, you'll need a fuel dispenser like this fuel bottle made by Traxxas. When you're using the fuel, make sure you read and follow all the safety precautions printed on the fuel can and in your operating instructions. Fuel can be dangerous if it's handled incorrectly or misused in any way. To fill the bottle, just squeeze it tightly and put the tip into the fuel can. When you release it, the bottle will expand and fill with fuel. I'm going to squeeze the excess air out and put a little more fuel in the bottle. Once the fuel dispenser is full, don't forget to put the lid back on the fuel can. The alcohol component in the fuel attracts moisture that can contaminate the fuel and cause problems with your engine, robbing it of power and making it extremely difficult to start. Now, let's go ahead and put fuel in our model. Simply lift the flip-top cap. Put the tip of the fuel dispenser into the filler neck and squeeze. Fill the tank right up to the bottom of the filler neck. Make sure the lid snaps back good and tight. The rubber seal on the fuel tank lid can be adjusted by tightening this screw underneath the cap. Try it if you notice any leaks or other indications that the fuel cap is not closing securely. Also, be sure to cap off the remaining fuel in your fuel dispenser. It does not take long for the alcohol to evaporate or the fuel to become contaminated. Here's another tip for you. The small slot in the end of the fuel tank cap is there to hold a single small tie wrap. Simply slide the small tie wrap through the opening and you've got a convenient handle to open the fuel tank lid with the body on the vehicle. The Traxxas Easy Start 2 brings the convenience of push-button electric engine starting to your Nitro model. The Easy Start system consists of a handheld control unit and an onboard motorized starter. The handheld unit uses Smart Start technology to monitor the condition of the system and detect failures that could keep your engine from starting. Power for the Easy Start system comes from a 7.2 volt rechargeable NiCad battery pack installed in the handheld control unit. To install the battery, press the tab in the end of the battery compartment door and slide the back off. Plug the battery into the connector. Insert a fully charged 7.2 volt NiCad battery pack. Now slide the battery compartment door back into place. The glow plug in the engine is automatically heated by the Easy Start system when the button is pushed. This eliminates the need to carry a separate glow plug igniter. To use the Easy Start on our T-Max, plug it into the 4-prong receptacle in the center of the pickup bed. In the Nitro 4-Tech, the Easy Start plugs into the receptacle just ahead of the rear wing. On Revo, the Easy Start plugs into the receptacle located on the truck bed. On the Nitro Rustler, the Easy Start plugs into the rear of the vehicle. Our Nitro Rustler here doesn't have any fuel in it, so we'll use it to show you how the Easy Start monitors itself. There are two status indicator LEDs on the handheld control unit, the motor LED and the glow plug LED. Both LEDs should light green when starting. If either LED is off, there is a fault indicated with that function. If the motor LED doesn't light and the starter fails to operate, then the Easy Start system is in protection mode. The new Easy Start controller contains circuitry that monitors the load being placed on the Easy Start motor. If the load becomes excessive, the Easy Start system shuts off power to the motor, preventing costly damage to the motor or to the controller. This might happen, for example, when an engine becomes flooded with fuel while trying to start it. The starter spins at first, and as the engine gradually locks up due to excessive fuel in the combustion chamber, the starter motor slows under the heavier load. This causes the protection circuit to shut off power to the motor to prevent it from burning up. We'll show you how to clear a flooded engine later in the program. The carburetor on the TRX 2.5 performs several very important functions. It controls the engine's speed by restricting the intake of air and fuel into the engine. It atomizes the fuel and also controls the air-fuel ratio of the mixture entering the engine. This mixture must have the right ratio of fuel and air for combustion to take place. The engine's performance is directly linked to the fuel mixture. Richening the fuel mixture increases the amount of fuel in the air-fuel mixture ratio. And leaning the fuel mixture decreases the amount of fuel in the air-fuel mixture ratio. Leaner fuel mixtures deliver stronger, more efficient combustion and more power. Richer fuel mixtures deliver cooler running and more lubrication, but less power. Tuning your engine means finding that perfect balance between the power to meet your needs and good lubrication for long engine life. The fuel mixtures are preset at the Traxxas factory to typical break-in settings. Now, don't readjust your carburetor from the factory settings until after the engine is started and running, and until you're able to assess what minor adjustments may be required to compensate for fuel, temperature, and altitude. We'll talk more about that when we head outside to run our model. Finally, let's take a look at the idle speed screw. Use your standard screwdriver to adjust the idle speed. turn it counterclockwise to decrease the engine's idle speed. Before we go outside and start up the engine, I want to give you an overview of the engine break-in process. Now, the break-in procedure will take about 1 to 2 hours and take 5 tanks of fuel. The main focus of the break-in procedure is to vary and limit your speed during the first few tanks of fuel. Limit your top speed. Don't run the engine at a constant speed, and don't give the engine full throttle. Now, since you shouldn't accelerate hard or build speed while breaking in your engine, this isn't the time to impress your friends with your new model. There'll be plenty of time for that later. The engine will seem fast even from the start, so it'll be tempting for you to go for it. But wait until the engine's fully broken in first. Patience and careful attention during the break-in process will reward you with the best performing TRX 2.5 possible. During the break-in period, your engine may seem to malfunction with symptoms such as stalling and inconsistent performance that are most likely caused by fouled glow plugs. Deposits from the engine form on the glow plug and cause it to fail. Don't be discouraged. These are simply the normal break-in pains every new engine has to go through. They'll disappear once the engine is fully broken in. Now let's get our equipment together to go run our model. You'll need your fuel and your fuel dispenser, your Easy Start controller, your glow plug wrench, and your engine tuning screwdriver. You'll most likely need some spare glow plugs too. These are Super Duty Traxxas plugs, item number 3232. Stick with Traxxas plugs for the best performance. Take some spare AA batteries and an extra 6-cell pack for the Easy Start, just in case. And now the moment you've been waiting for. Let's head outside and start up the engine. We've selected a clean, flat, paved surface to break in our engine. It'll make the procedure much easier. You'll need about 200 or 300 feet of space for this. We've already filled the tank back in the workshop with 20% top fuel. Remember, you don't need to use special break-in fuel. For the first tank of fuel, we're going to drive the model with the body off. We'll reinstall it later for the second tank of fuel. Now remember, always turn on the transmitter first, and then turn on the receiver switch in the model. I already cleared my frequency and tested the range of the radio earlier. Operate the controls on the transmitter to be sure everything's working properly. Make sure the throttle is in neutral position and the carburetor is at idle. Now grab the Easy Start controller and plug it in. The TRX 2.5 engine usually does not have to be primed with fuel. Simply press down the button on the Easy Start and watch for fuel to move through the fuel line into the carburetor. Also, notice the LEDs and make sure both are lit green. If the fuel doesn't reach the carburetor after 5 seconds, prime the engine by briefly covering the exhaust outlet with your finger, just until the fuel is visible in the fuel line. Watch carefully though. If the engine's primed too long, it'll flood with fuel and lock up. Once fuel reaches the carburetor, the engine should start and idle. Once the engine starts, disconnect the Easy Start and begin driving. Gently pull the throttle trigger about 1/4 of the way back and accelerate for 2 seconds. Then apply the brake to stop. Let's try it. Now count out the 2 seconds while you're accelerating. 1001, 1002, and then brake. Let's try that again. 1001, 1002, and then brake. Notice that I'm barely pulling the trigger back to about 1/4 throttle, and that my actions are very slow and gentle. If you accelerate too quickly, you could cause the engine to stall. There's a nice trail of blue smoke coming from the exhaust. This means our fuel mixture is set correctly, and the engine is getting enough fuel for proper lubrication. If you aren't seeing any smoke from the engine, or if it cuts out or stalls when accelerating, then richen the high-speed fuel mixture 1/4 turn and check again for smoke. Continue driving in this manner until the first tank of fuel is nearly empty. Always pay careful attention to the fuel level. You'll have to periodically bring the model in and check the fuel level. Never allow the fuel tank to run completely empty. When the fuel level is very low, it causes the mixture to be too lean. This could result in a burned out glow plug or extremely high engine temperatures. When the tank is nearly empty, bring the model in and shut off the engine by pinching the fuel line connected to the carburetor. Allow the engine to cool off for about 15 minutes before you refuel. From now on, we'll be running the model with the body on. Now we've already refueled, so let's start it up and drive. I'm going to be driving it just like I did the first tank of fuel, only this time I'm going to pull the trigger back to half throttle. Again, count out 2 seconds while you accelerate. It should take the entire 2 seconds to reach half throttle with the trigger. Keep your throttle motion smooth and accelerate and brake gently. Let's try it. 1001, 1002, then stop. 1001, 1002, then stop. When the tank is nearly empty, bring the model in and shut off the engine. Remember to simply pinch the fuel line connected to the carburetor. Let the engine cool for about 15 minutes. For the third tank of fuel in our break-in process, I'm going to reach 1/2 throttle on a 3 count instead of a 2 count. Now I'm still not pulling the throttle past halfway. 1001, 1002, 1003, and brake. 1001, 1002, 1003, and brake. As the engine begins to loosen, you may need to decrease the idle speed slightly. If the model won't stand still, use your tuning screwdriver to turn the idle screw counterclockwise to reduce the idle speed. When the tank is nearly empty, bring the model in, shut off the engine, and refuel. From here on, you don't have to let the engine cool between tanks. For tank 4, we're going to reach full throttle this time, over a 3 count, and then brake gently to stop. Make sure you reach full throttle gradually over the entire count of 3 so that you won't do a wheelie or flip the truck over. On models equipped with a 2-speed, the transmission may try to shift into second gear. If it does, let off the throttle. Remember to keep your driving smooth and consistent. When the 4th tank is nearly gone, bring the model in, shut off the engine, and refuel. Now it's starting to get fun. For this last tank in our break-in process, we'll be accelerating to full throttle for 3 seconds, and then holding it for 2 seconds before we brake to stop. Here we go. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, then brake. Again, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, and brake. Congratulations, your engine is broken in. Now it's time to tune it for optimum performance. Performance tuning the TRX 2.5 is not a difficult job. You simply lean the fuel mixture in very small increments until you no longer see improvements in performance. At that point, you richen the fuel mixture slightly. The high-speed needle is always tuned first. Begin by making several high-speed passes to make sure the engine is warm. Tuning adjustments must be made to the engine at its normal operating temperature. Turn the high-speed needle clockwise 1/16 of a turn and make a few more high-speed passes. Notice any improvements in the performance. Continue this procedure until you notice that the performance is no longer improving when you lean the fuel mixture. At that point, richen the fuel mixture slightly by turning the high-speed needle counterclockwise, 1/16 to 1/8 of a turn. This setting will provide great performance for everyday running and extend the life of your engine components. If you run your engine too lean in an effort to gain performance, you could damage it. An engine that's tuned past its safe lean point shows the following warning signs. The engine begins to cut out at high speed. There is no longer a trail of blue exhaust smoke. There's a sudden loss of power during acceleration. Or the engine begins to overheat. If any one of these occurs, you're already well past the maximum safe lean fuel mixture and engine damage is likely. Stop it once. Allow the engine to cool, Enrichen the fuel mixture by turning the high-speed needle counterclockwise at least 1/8 turn. You will need to retune for performance. Just be careful not to lean it as much this time. This setting will provide great performance and extended life to the engine components. If you are using the Traxxas onboard digital temp gauge or an infrared temperature probe, don't let the engine temperature exceed 270 degrees at the glow plug. Now let's tune the low speed needle using the pinch test. We'll leave the body off the model for now. Begin by making several high-speed passes to make sure the engine is warm and any excess fuel is cleared out of the engine. Bring the model in and observe the idle speed. If the model is trying to creep forward, then reduce the idle speed. Turn the idle screw counterclockwise. Now make a few more high-speed passes, then bring the model in. Pinch the fuel line going to the carburetor. The engine should run for 2 to 3 seconds, then speed up and die. If your engine runs longer than 3 seconds, then lean the low speed needle 1/8 turn and retest. Turn the screw clockwise to lean the mixture. If the engine dies immediately without speeding up, then richen the low speed needle 1/8 turn, counterclockwise, and retest. Always do several high-speed runs between adjustments to clear the engine of any excess fuel. When the low-speed needle is set correctly, the engine should accelerate sharply with no hesitation or stalling. Finally, let's do one last check of the idle speed. Set the idle speed as low as possible so that the engine will start and run reliably. This one sounds just fine. As you drive your model on a daily basis, you may need to adjust for changes in temperature and humidity. Generally, you will need to allow for more fuel flow when the weather is cooler by turning the high-speed needle counterclockwise to richen the fuel mixture. On hot, humid days, turn the high-speed needle clockwise to lean the fuel mixture. In high elevations, you'll need less fuel flow to compensate for the thinner air. Turn the high-speed needle clockwise 1/8 turn. Now that the engine's broken in and tuned, there's nothing left to do but drive and have fun. Now let's try out the T-Max's reverse capability. The shift button on the transmitter is normally in the down position for forward operation. To engage reverse, bring the T-Max to a complete stop and then push the button up. Use the same procedure to change back to forward direction.
Hello, my name is Larry, and today we're going to learn how to clear a flooded engine. If the engine is primed for too long during startup, it can become flooded with fuel. When the engine is flooded, it will no longer turn due to excess fuel in the combustion chamber, preventing upward movement of the piston. Use the following procedure to clear a flooded engine. First, remove the blue glow plug wire. Next, remove the glow plug and gasket with the glow plug wrench supplied with your model. You can also use a 5/16 inch nut driver. If the gasket did not come out with the plug, then reach in and grab the gasket with your needle nose pliers. Now place a rag over the engine head and turn the model upside down. Plug in the Easy Start and push the Easy Start button for several seconds to clear the engine of excess fuel. Turn the model back over and reinstall the glow plug and gasket. Place the glow plug into the glow plug wrench. Put the gasket over the end of the glow plug. Turn the truck up on its back bumper and insert the glow plug into the head. Turn it very slowly at first to make sure the plug is properly threaded. Reconnect the blue glow plug wire to the glow plug. You should feel positive engagement of the connector into the glow plug terminal. Now let's head outside to start the engine. Reconnect your Easy Start controller. Do not prime the engine. Pull the throttle trigger to half throttle and push the Easy Start button. The engine should start immediately. To prevent flooding the engine in the future, never prime the engine for more than 1 or 2 seconds during startup.
Your Traxxas model requires regular care and maintenance in order to stay in top running condition. Now, in this section, we're going to focus on air filter maintenance and after run procedures. First, the air filter. Now you must clean the air filter after every hour of runtime, even if the filter looks clean. The dust is often too fine to see. So even if dirt isn't visible on the filter, it is present inside the foam after any amount of runtime. Remove the filter by pulling the filter body firmly to the side to release it from the carburetor bore. Do not pull straight up. The TRX 2.5 filter is made up of 3 pieces: a rubber filter base, a plastic housing, and an oiled foam element. Pull the rubber base out of the filter body. With the base removed, the foam element is visible in the bottom of the filter body. Now pull out the foam element. Thoroughly wash all 3 pieces of the filter assembly in hot soapy water. Dishwashing detergent works very well. Wash them twice, then thoroughly dry the parts with a clean towel or compressed air. And remember to always wear your safety goggles when using compressed air. Saturate the foam element with clean 30 weight or 40 weight motor oil. Squeeze the excess oil from the foam. Reassemble the filter and install it on the vehicle. Make sure the rubber base fits securely on the carburetor. If you plan on putting your Nitro model away for more than just a few hours, you'll need to perform after-run maintenance on the engine. Now, whenever a Nitro engine is shut off, some fuel always remains in the engine. Because the methanol that's used in the fuel absorbs moisture, it can cause severe corrosion of the steel engine parts if it's not removed. The best way to protect yourself against internal engine corrosion is to always shut off the engine by pinching the fuel line and by performing these maintenance procedures. You'll need your glow plug wrench, paper towels, and a can of WD-40. And begin by completely emptying the fuel tank and properly disposing of leftover fuel. Now, do not combine old fuel with your fresh fuel. Next, switch on the radio system so that the carburetor is set at idle. Now, we're going to connect the Easy Start and attempt to start the engine. The engine will probably run for a few seconds as it uses up any fuel still left in the fuel lines or in the engine. Now clean the outside of the engine with compressed air or an aerosol motor cleaner. Once the engine is clean, remove the glow plug power wire, glow plug, and the air filter. Remove the air filter by pulling the filter body firmly to the side to release it from the carburetor bore. Open the throttle fully and spray a 1-second burst of WD-40 into the carburetor. Also spray a 1-second burst into the glow plug hole. Place a paper towel over the engine and plug in the Easy Start. Press the button and spin the engine for about 10 seconds. Remove the paper towel and repeat this process 2 more times. Now replace the glow plug and the glow plug wire and the air filter. Your model is now ready for action at a moment's notice. And with that, we've come to the end of our program. All of us here at Traxxas hope that we've been able to get you off to a great start with your new Traxxas RC model. As a reminder, our Traxxas customer support team is at your disposal to answer any more questions you might have. Call toll-free 1-888-TRAXXAS. You can also find out more about your model and join thousands of other Traxxas enthusiasts in our online community at www.traxxas.com. I'm Robert Meadows. Thank you for watching.